First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
New information tonight as a South Florida community continues to mourn what the FBI knew about the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooter and when. Good evening, I'm Daniela Garrido.
And I'm Jordan McCool. The FBI received a tip on January 5th from a person close to accused killer Nicholas Cruz. The person reported concerns about Cruz, including information about his guns and the desire to kill people. The FBI admits investigators failed to follow proper protocol and investigate. FBI Director Christopher Wray says in the statement, it's up to all Americans to be vigilant, and when members of the public contact us with concerns, we must act properly and quickly. We have spoken with victims and families and deeply regret the additional pain this causes all those affected by this horrific tragedy.
Also new tonight, the Sun Sentinel is reporting the building where Wednesday's shooting took place will be torn down.
That is where most of the victims died. From teachers and administrators to students, WUFT's David Jones is in the studio to show us how these people will leave a lasting impact.
Well, over the past few days, we've talked a lot about the shooting. We've talked about the shooter, his actions, and the reactions from a devastated community. 17 lives were lost Wednesday in a place where people are supposed to feel safe. These are the victims.
I think our town has been in shock.
This tragedy should never happen again.
Carmen Centrum, Meadow Pollock, Peter Wang.
Carmen Centrup was 16, a standout student and a National Merit Scholarship semifinalist. Meadow Pollock, 18, preparing to start at Lynn University in Boca Raton this fall. Peter Wang, 15, JROTC. His cousin says Peter held a door open so others could escape.
Nicholas Dort,
17 years old, a senior with an academic scholarship and a spot on the swim team waiting at the University of Indianapolis.
Mr. Christopher Hickson,
49, the wrestling coach and athletic director. He leaves behind a wife and a son with special needs.
Mr. Aaron Feist.
Coach Feist has always been so nice and caring towards me. Every morning when I walk into school, he's there for me to say good morning to.
The 37-year-old football coach died shielding students.
Luke Oyer, Elena Petty,
15 and 14. Luke, an NBA fan. Elena, vibrant and determined, according to her family.
Jamie Guttenberg,
14.
Martin Duque,
14.
Alyssa Al-Hadef,
14, a soccer player. Her mom speaking out.
This is not fair to our families, that our children go to school and have to get killed!
Mr. Scott Beagle,
35, a geography teacher and cross-country coach. He opened a door to shelter students.
He opened the door for me, and the second I looked back to see if he was in, he was on the floor.
Helena Ramsey,
17.
Joaquin Oliver,
17.
Kara Logren,
14.
Gina Montalto,
14, a member of the school marching band's Winter Guard.
and Alexander Schachter.
14, played trombone in the marching band. We're also learning more about plans to honor the 17 victims. Broward County Superintendent says a memorial will be built on the school's campus.
While officials are ironing out the details of a permanent memorial, many Floridians continue to remember those killed. From Parkland all the way to North Central Florida, many communities are paying tribute. WUFT's Grace King attended 2 Gainesville vigils earlier and joined us live from the newsroom.
Jordan, it was an emotional day for many as multiple vigils were held in honor of those lives lost in the Parkland shooting. More than 200 former Douglas students attend the University of Florida, and I spoke with one of those who is still struggling to make sense of the tragedy.
Somebody to lean on. I don't want to believe it, but as each day goes on, it becomes more and more real.
It's been a worst fear of mine for a long time, so it's been hard to process.
It breaks my heart because my fellow Gators are hurting.
2 days after the shooting at a Parkland high school, UF students are still trying to process their emotions.
It's unbelievable, like in the literal sense.
Multiple vigils are being held today. many of them led by former students of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
I don't think I would be where I am today if I hadn't had my start there.
David Rojas graduated from Douglas 4 years ago and fondly recalls his time in the band. Now he knows it'll never be the same.
My love goes out to my AP Lit teacher. She was there when all this went down. I just hope that, wherever she is right now, that she has the strength to go on.
Fenzia Gourier, another former student, says that strength can be found in love.
Showing love to someone is an active choice. So the same way that person chose to do evil, we have a choice too, and we get to choose love.
Even with love, Rojas feels the process will be difficult.
And it's going to take time. But we will move on. And when we do, we will be a force to be reckoned with. And we will ensure that change finally happens in this country.
Together, Rojas added, they can rise up.
And to help with that healing process, Rojas is holding a vigil tonight at 8 p.m. in Turlington Plaza. But if you can't make that one, there's a handful of others planned as well, including the city of Gainesville's tomorrow at 7 p.m. and the University of Florida's Wednesday at 7 p.m. For now, reporting live in the newsroom, Grace King, WUFT News.
Thank you, Grace. Here in North Central Florida, schools are receiving copycat threats following Wednesday's events. A 15-year-old is facing a second-degree felony after making a threatening social media post about Palatka High School. A 17-year-old Lake Weir High School student is also facing charges for making threats. Increased law enforcement presence was at the school in Marion County, and Gilchrist County closed all schools as a safety precaution following a threat that they received last night.
Breaking today, the special counsel will try to convict Russians of going beyond the usual election propaganda to something criminal. 13 indictments were announced today. NBC's Blaine Alexander has a story from Washington.
A Washington grand jury has indicted 13 Russians in a wide-ranging conspiracy to interfere in the 2016 election.
The defendants allegedly conducted what they called information warfare against the United States, with the stated goal of spreading distrust towards the candidates and the political system.
These are the first indictments tied directly to election meddling to come from special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. The 13 Russians allegedly worked to discredit Hillary Clinton's campaign and boost Donald Trump. They also used Muslims and the Black Lives Matter movement to divide Americans both before and after Trump won the election.
For example, the defendants organized one rally to support the president-elect and another rally to oppose him, both in New York on the same day.
Some of the defendants traveled to America to create fake IDs, also using social media accounts, buying ads, and working with unwitting Americans, including campaign associates.
No allegation in this indictment that any American had any knowledge. And the nature of the scheme was that the defendants took extraordinary steps to make it appear that they were ordinary American political activists.
President Trump declared in a tweet that his campaign did nothing wrong, no collusion. Officials say the Russian efforts are still ongoing.
We must not allow them to succeed.
An ominous warning ahead of this year's midterm elections. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
The indictment says they smeared several candidates early on, including Trump and Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio. Later on, the strategy shifted to suppressing black turnout, pretending that activists were sick of both Trump and Clinton and would rather sit out the election than vote for either of them.
And the Gators baseball game of the first Gators baseball game of the season is tonight.
And we hear that the weather is going to be perfect for the game. WUFT's Lee Southwick joins us now live from McKeithen Stadium. Lee?
It's a beautiful game, a beautiful day for a baseball game. The skies are blue, temperatures are in the 70s, and there's a bit of a breeze that's making it feel so comfortable. We'll start with a live look over the University of Florida. You can see those blue skies. Clouds have mainly disappeared right now. Temperatures by the first pitch are going to be right near 71 degrees. And then moving on into the seventh inning, temperature is right near 67, so it'll be comfortable. You may want to grab a light jacket for the game if you're like me, a Floridian, and might cool down a bit in the 60s, but overall very comfortable. Now there is some fog that's possible early tomorrow morning, so hopefully not many of you have to wake up early for your Saturday morning, but we'll bring you more details on that fog. Brian Bojana will be joining me in my full weather update coming up. Back to you.
Thanks, Lee. The Gainesville City Commission wants Grace Marketplace to continue operating under current management. That's the decision that came out of last night's City Commission meeting. As WUFT's Henry Coburn explains, the city decided between a new contract with Grace Marketplace Foundation and a contract renewal with the Alachua County Coalition for the Homeless and Hungry.
Grace Marketplace's future hanging in the balance. Some want change in management.
I would like to see the personnel provided by the Grace Foundation manage the operation.
Others worry that a change in management would affect current programs.
My worst case scenario is that the veterans dorm basically gets shut down, or that their living conditions become less.
City commissioners chose between a cheaper new authority, the Grace Marketplace Foundation, and the existing manager, the Alachua County Coalition for the Homeless and the Hungry, or the ACCHH. They chose to go with the known entity they've worked with before.
They looked at some of the issues that relates to the financing, what's in the information, and in their best interest that ACC would be the best organization to continue to provide those services.
The city has weighed in, but Alachua County commissioners must also vote on the matter. Regardless of the outcome, Gainesville residents think the ACCHH and the Grace Marketplace Foundation should continue working together.
Some of the comments came out is that these two organizations should work hand in hand. Both have good assets. There are good, some positives on both, positive and negative on both sides.
Henry Coburn, WUFT News.
The county is slated to take its vote on Monday.
So just in 2017, we worked with over 300 women in our local community.
Sex trafficking in Gainesville coming up, how law enforcement and local nonprofit work together to offer security and other help to victims.
Dry pattern. Coming up, I'll tell you how long this will continue and when we could even see a couple showers in our forecast.